Power and peace. Power and peace. Hotep to the family. Assalamu alaikum to the family. Greetings, Black Power, to all the viewing audience and all that's listening tonight. I'm Brother Patrick Lumumba, Chief Organizer Facilitator of the Mississippi-based Black Liberation Movement. We come to you tonight with a broadcast where we want to talk specifically about building Black Power, what that is, what it means to build Black Power, and what it would look like if we actually put ourselves on the course to building Black Power. Now, tonight, I won't be winging and flying this plane by myself. I have some co-pilots and I have an elder barber that's going to join us tonight in our thorough and robust conversation we're going to bring tonight to the viewing audience. And I hope that you are prepared. You should share this broadcast right now to your Facebook pages, to your whatever social media platform that you have access to. Share this program because we're going to go into some very strong and powerful discussion tonight. We're not going to be long. We're going to hit it hard. We're going to be concise, and we're going to be very effective with what it is that we're doing tonight. Share our broadcast. We're trying to get our platform back relevant. We're trying to bring the critical conversation to our people to make sure that our people has a robust understanding of what it is that we're doing with the Black Liberation Movement, and that all of you that's viewing right now are a serious part of the liberation process of our people. So we want you to be in tonight. And see, we got Brother Jahi Ashe, the captain of the BYLC, that's the Black Youth Leadership Coalition, already joining us tonight. We're going to ask Jahi Ashe to share this broadcast and make sure that the youth of his generation, and we're going to speak profoundly to that generation. They are a very important generation to the process of our people becoming autonomous and liberated. That generation is very important, and it's very imperative that they get this message tonight. We're going to reintroduce, we're going to rehash out the groundwork, the framework of what it is to build Black Power. So before we bring our elder on, because I don't waste these elders' time. These elders' time is very precious, and what they have to say is very dear and precious to us. And it's just like an instruction manuscript when we have these elders on, that we pay special attention to them, and we don't want to waste time. Thank you, Nikki, for chiming in. I'm pretty sure our illustrious, beautiful daughter giving you a little break where you can chime in and tune in to the show tonight. Appreciate you tuning in. I want to start this program off by speaking a powerful African proverb that has spoke so profoundly to me as I try and navigate this ship called the Black Liberation Movement. And that African proverb says that the elders can see farther sitting down than we can see standing up. And when you internalize the power of that African proverb, you begin to understand the wisdom and the protocol that's needed for our people to begin to recover from the damages that white supremacy have dealt us, the detrimental blow that white supremacy has dealt us. We begin to understand that the elders have walked the walk, and they have learned things that we have yet experienced. And if we were wise, we would listen to their counsel. And tonight we have the Black Liberation Movement Baba Counsel General Baba Kareem Kamal Kareem with us tonight. Very profound. I see him as more than a Baba. I see him as a father. I see him as an elder, a wise man that has traveled the road that I seek to travel down, and a man of wisdom. So, without further ado, we want to bring on Baba Kamal Kareem. There he is. There he is. With the
Hotep and
mic
Ashe, brother.
Hotel Ashe, power and peace to you, Baba.
Yes, sir.
Good
Yes,
to
sir.
see you.
Very, very, very important message tonight. Very, very important subject. The building of power, not just any kind of power, but black power.
Black
And
power.
uh, interestingly enough, you know, when we were in Clarksdale,
Mm,
sister took her whole family and wanted to run away from
mm,
the idea of black power.
mm.
I'm here to remind everybody it's nothing to get afraid of. Like Bob Marley say, don't get jumpy and don't get bumpy and don't walk away, because this is the time. This is the
mm,
time for it. This is
mm,
the revitalization and the revival of the Black Power movement, which was orchestrated and started right here in Mississippi, Greenwood, 1966.
mm, mm. That's very interesting, Bob. And you can hear me well, right?
I didn't hear you. What you say?
Oh, that's what I asked. I asked, could you hear me well?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
I hear you
okay.
pretty good.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is that that's very interesting that you said that the Black Power movement and how that Black Power movement came into existence and where it came into existence at. We're on the record, for for actually projecting the history and telling that history about the Black Power movement and how it came into existence. If you don't mind, Baba, we want to make the most use of your hour as we possibly can. Could you tell us about the Mississippi conception of Black Power?
I'd be more than happy to, Commander. In 1966, um, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, led by Reverend Martin Luther King, and the youth wing of it, which was SNCC, which the leaders or the primary leaders were Stokely Carmichael at that time, who later went on to become Kwame Ture,
Mm,
and Willie Ricks, which we know him and he's known throughout the world today as Mikasa Dada.
mm,
Uh, these two individuals, um, they begged to differ with Dr. King in the way the movement was going, because they felt that it was just to appease uh, the status quo and to mingle in and migrate or take anything that the white man would give us. So there was rumblings amongst the young people, like there are rumblings today.
mm,
And so before Dr. King left and went up to Memphis, Tennessee to do a news conference, he told them in their speech that they were to give later on that evening that they were to talk about freedom now.
mm,
Well, Mukasa Dada and Kwame Ture got to talking, and Mukasa Dada tells him, says, you know, we need black power. That's what we need. They shooting at us down here. Um, we ducking and dodging bullets. We're running from the Klan. We're trying to organize people, and we're facing adversity on every hand. We need black power. And
mm,
so
mm,
Kwame Ture says, I need to incorporate that tonight in my speech. He says, okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll cue you when you say it, and we're going to make the crowd say it.
mm,
And so as Kwame Ture took the lectern, which was outside, it was an outdoor rally, um, uh, uh, Mukasa Dada cued him and he said, Black Power.
mm,
And the crowd, the young people, the thousands that were in attendance, they just went crazy and they
mm.
just wouldn't stop saying it. And they were
Black
saying
Power.
Black Power and they were just yelling Black Power. Uh, it's on record that they did it for over 15 minutes without
Black
stopping.
Power.
Black Power.
Black Power.
And
Yeah.
all the white people were looking, all the church residents were looking, all the
Mm-hmm.
preachers were looking. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a terror that went out throughout the crowds, and particularly among the opposition and the white folks that were standing, chewing, spitting tobacco and whittling on a piece of wood as they look when we do things. They were looking, and there was no incited violence on that night
Mm,
because they didn't know what direction that these young brothers and sisters were
mm,
coming from.
mm.
And of course, from that, the annals of history will prove that Kwame Ture went on to become the prime minister of the Black Panther Party, and then later he went over to Africa, and he worked in the administration of Sekou Toure in Guinea,
Yeah.
in Africa. Married Miriam Makeba, uh,
Let
Mukasa
me stop
Dada.
you. Let me stop you right there, Bob, because I don't want to miss something very important. And I always attribute to my spirit the ability to catch the little thing that people may gloss over, but we really need to look at. Now, check this. You said that Black Power was chanted for over 15 minutes or
Yeah,
50 minutes
or longer,
or
or
longer.
longer, nonstop.
Now, and you also said, Bob, that just the white people stood and they spit their tobacco and all the other things that we can see white people doing in the frustration of thousands of black people chanting black power, black
That's right.
power. They stood stagnant.
Right.
They couldn't do nothing. They stood stagnant.
No
That's very
reprisals
important.
that night.
No
No
reprisals,
attacks, no reprisals.
no attacks. Now think about this, and everybody that's listening, think about this. If black people were just chanting black power, we're talking about just chanting black power, the thought going out, the sound, the vibration going out. If black people were just chanting black power in unison, what would it look like if black people actually emerged in black power? If we actually began to build the constructs of black power, if just the mere chanting of black power by thousands of black people at one time in unison saying black power, black power will hold white people at bay. What would the emergence and the building of the constructs of black power do to pull this thing to a screeching halt? What would that do? What would that look like, Bob?
It would show the unity and the strength of people in one voice.
Mm,
That would be terrifying in itself against white supremacy and the devil.
mm-hmm,
Um, people in one voice. And so, with that being said, that's why they work so hard to split, divide us, and to manufacture chaos amongst us.
mm-hmm,
Um, and we see it everywhere and in everything that we do. And then they use us against us because we don't know what power is. We don't
mm.
understand the types of power, and we don't understand what type of power is over us.
Right. So again, let me stop you right there. See, Bob, we're gonna drain this conversation for every drop of effectiveness we can get out of it. So when you're teaching us tonight, I want to be able to stop you because I want to look at this conversation through the eyes of all the segments of our people that should be looking at it. I want to look at it through the eyes of the young. I want to look at it through the eyes of the the adults, the parents. I want to look at it through the eyes of all of that. So the way that we framing this conversation is very interesting, and we trying to ask the question because we trying to get our people to internalize and to conceptualize in our mind because every action is preceded by a thought. So if we can get our people to thinking about what black power look like, then we may begin to get the axis of our people minds to turning toward producing the pragmatism of black power. Now, that's what we want to talk about. What is black power? And I know because I've been on many rides with you. You know, I've been on many rides with you. We've been to a few places where we have went together to express the black power in Mississippi that we no longer want to conceptualize. Tell us about black power and the tenets of black power and how that, you know, in your words, what is that? How do we put that together? What are the components?
Well, it's all starts in the mental and spiritual concept of us being able to bring forth our own reality without the definition of white folks or their mental side.
Mm,
So uh, it's our ability spiritually, mentally, and physically to bring forth our own reality and to do it in oneness and do it in unity with love and respect for one another.
mm, mm-hmm,
Um, but also, there's another component to that. It's a component of not only love for one another, but protection, uh, direction, and the ability to maintain that power in the collective, realizing that power comes from the bottom up, not the top down.
mm, no doubt.
And
Mm-hmm,
we have that misconstrued today.
mm,
Um, One of the interesting things that I'm hearing from a lot of young people is they're saying, let's see the application. You know, we
mm,
hear about the histories and we've heard about the uh, Marcus Garveys, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's. We still hear Minister Louis Farrakhan. Uh, we hear and we see the Ben Crumps and the Al Sharptons and even our
mm-hmm,
local pastors and preachers. But show me the Black power in application. In other words, show me how we do it.
mm-hmm,
And this is what
mm-hmm,
young people are waiting on. And this is what we want to give them as being a Black liberation movement, not only to understand the type of power, white supremacy, and oppression that we are under, but
mm-hmm.
also to understand the type of power that we have and that we still have as a collective. And we've had that ever since the beginning of the creation of the universe, the
Mm-hmm.
heavens, and this earth that we live on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal, Bob. And I thank you for framing it the way that you did because you bring so much insight to my mind, for one. And I hope you bring it to the people that's chiming in. I want to take this time out and say peace. No, no, no. We're going to correct that. I'm going to say power and peace to Baba Jeffrey Ryan Futrell, a young man university out of Memphis, a Baba that I've been working diligently with, and I strongly support his program up there in Memphis, recovering our brothers out of the streets and bring them to entrepreneurship. Because without that entrepreneurship amongst our black men, we're not going to be able to be free working for our oppressor. And I want to shout out to my esteemed brother Carlton Jones, who's tuned in and has shared this broadcast. I'm asking everybody to share this broadcast. All my brothers and sisters of the Black Power family and that support the Black Liberation Movement in Mississippi, not only in Mississippi, all over the United States of America. Share this broadcast tonight. Put some Black Power on your social media pages. Share us tonight and help us come into the minds and the hearts of our people so that we can begin to build this reality. Um, Most definitely, Baba. Let's do this right quick. You know, I posted something this morning because I think we kind of lose track of the type society that we're living in. We don't have a historical retention. It's not being taught, to us. We don't have any institutions, and I think that's a major part of Black Power is building our own institutions of education and learning, so that we can be able to create the confidence and the pride and integrity that it takes and the knowledge that it takes from an early stage. Sister Crystal always say we learning these things, we come into the knowledge of things at different ages. We some of us don't even know about Kwame Ture. Some of us don't even know about Mikasa Dada and all the different people who have played integral, very important parts in our liberation process. But we would think a child that's 6 years old that don't know his ABCs, we would say something wrong with that child, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we understand that that child should know his ABCs at a certain point in time, because that's the institutionalization of that process. So what we're saying is that We live in a system that's very disrespectful to black people.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
very disrespectful to black people. And I posted this this morning on my social media page. I said the DNA of white supremacy, the DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid of white supremacy, the social order is not configured to treat black people with any measure of respect.
Right.
So the objective is not to try and reconfigure the DNA of white supremacy, it's to remove yourself from it.
Right.
So I'm just saying that to say we under social constructs of white supremacy. And to be able to move ourselves away from it is probably the best thing we should do, as opposed to try and reconfigure white people. Are like Kwame Ture told Martin Luther King, Martin, you dealing with white people as though they have a moral character, as though they're gonna reverse the process, as though the system is really broke, when the system is really not broke. This is the way it is designed. This is the DNA of white supremacy. So yeah.
I can tell you, and I can bear witness to what you're saying by an event that occurred on today. And I don't know, but I
Mm,
think the nation is well aware that there's been another mass shooting.
mm-hmm,
18 children dead in Texas, and I want to say 3 adults now. They're still recovering bodies in Texas at an elementary school. But in contrast to the 10 elderly Africans that were killed in Buffalo, New York, today something real unique happened by order of President Biden coming back from overseas from Asia. He ordered the flag today to be flown at half staff. Why wouldn't you order the flag
mm,
to be flown at half staff 2 weeks ago? And this
mm,
bears witness to what you say. See, we're utterly
mm-hmm,
disrespected, and we're
mm-hmm,
still seeking to be other than ourselves, not to like ourselves, and to be included in something that only looks upon us as property and chattel, even by
mm,
law in this country. And until we wake up to the realization that we are not respected, that we're not treated as a human being, and we have to start treating ourselves as human beings, we have to start loving ourselves and having a respect for life and develop our character in our community and
mm,
protect the biological, sociological interests of our community. We're going to continue to be killed and disrespected. And,
mm.
and just a caveat to that, uh, there is no other people in the United States of America, but African Americans that got to renew their voting rights every 25 years.
Hmm,
Where they do that at?
hmm, hmm. That's
So,
right.
so
That's
just to
right.
bear witness to what you're saying, we're totally disrespected. This is why there is for our own survival, there is a need for us to realize and actualize Black power.
Black power. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I appreciate that. You frame that so well, Baba, and you make it real because it is real. And
Oh yeah, very much.
yeah, let's speak to Jahid's assessment here with Mississippi. He said Mississippi is a critical part of our liberation. He said, listen and learn to the history. Listen and learn to the history of the state of this state. Mississippi is the first domino of our Mecca. Now, this is a young man that came to us by happenstance, but not happenstance. I call it divine synchronicity. You know, that this young brother came to us and he has been glued to us for about 2 years now. And he's a very diligent soldier and he's learned a lot. And so, what he's speaking to, for those who don't know or understand or still have a very, I'll say, distorted view, stigmatized view of what Mississippi is. He's speaking to the historical context, the ecological context of Mississippi. You know, he's speaking to the fact that Mississippi, if y'all can see the logos that adorn me and Baba Kamal's hat, as a state of Mississippi with the red, black, and green, with the Africa, the continent of Africa in the middle. That has a lot of meaning. And every now and then when we go out, people will ask us about that. And we want people to ask us about that. So what Jahi is referring to, and I want you to elaborate on it as well, Baba Kamal. He's talking about what Professor James Small taught me in the year 2018 when he came to the second annual Black Liberation Building Power Summit. He said that Mississippi is the Africa of the Western Hemisphere. He was talking about Mississippi being an ecological oasis for Black people. And that's proven even in what white people did with Mississippi by bringing a 500,000 Black laborers, slave Africans. Now, I'm not going to say slave, about 500,000 uh, of our ancestors into this land to labor and wait and forge out an economic beginning for this country in the name of cotton. So what Jahi is talking about is learning the ecology of Mississippi. And not only that, people don't really understand, Baba, that Mississippi is the blackest state in the United States of America,
And
ratio to proportion. It's the blackest state. So we got a lot of political power here, right here in Mississippi. Can you speak to that?
and, and yes, sir. And to eradicate the confusion that you're not a mulatto, that you're not paper brown bag, that you're
Mm,
not colored, that you're uh, uh, an African, and you should be unapologetically
mm,
African. You should never lose sight of the ship that brought you from where you came from. And seeing this is what has happened to us. This is why so many of us are afraid to acknowledge who we are. We've gotten that mental condition which psychiatrists call xenophobic. To be
mm,
xenophobic means you don't know who you are and you're trying to be somebody else. That's why we run around with these different colored eyeballs and blonde hair,
mm,
spend $120 billion out of our $1.2 trillion industry trying to bleach ourselves and trying to fit in or get in anywhere we can get in, looking like someone that we're not, and we are ashamed
mm,
of being who we are. And so one of the first steps is to know yourself and love yourself. Uh,
mm,
you know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and he asked this question that was taught to him: who is the original man?
mm,
The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the God of the universe. Marcus Garvey said, Africa for the Africans. Now, for those of us who are scholars, we know that the continent of Africa, the original continent, the motherland, as we call it, was named after Scipio Africanus through subjugation and domination. We know this, but we use it as a point of reference to join all of us all around the world, the 400 billion people of us, including Pacific Islanders, who are melanated people around the world. And this launching point is Mississippi.
mm,
Why is Mississippi the Mecca? Because Mississippi has a great amount of land in its proportion to its population. Mississippi's population total is not even quite 3 million people. But look at the large land mass. And if the land mass in Mississippi could be actualized, Black people, African American people, African people in America would never have to worry about anything to eat. Mississippi
mm,
could feed all of us.
mm,
All we have to do is unify. The
mm,
economy's finna get bad. That calls for Black power. Jobs are going to once again become scarce. That calls for Black power. The housing market bubble's about to go out of it. That calls for Black power. They're shooting and killing people of color in mass. That calls for Black power. Our
mm,
communities are crumbling. We need schools. We have poor health care, and we're in a state of crisis. It calls for Black power, not just for somebody to be a talking head talking at you, but for us to come together, get to work as a collective, and to make things happen so that we can build our community and build this state.
mm. No doubt. That's very powerful, Baba. And we got comments that's chiming in, as we speak that I'm looking at to bring more quality to this conversation. Our brother that hosted down there in Clarksdale, Brother Mike, the Vice Lord down there in Clarksdale that's attached itself to Mississippi on the Move has chimed in. He said, America KKK. Okay. most definitely America, KKK. And Sister Crystal said, indeed, once we know and understand Mississippi, we'll understand how important to develop the development of this country and maintenance of this world. So what she's saying in that is that the agriculture development and initiative that was launched by white people who stole land and labor, which is the basis of wealth, by the way. Land and labor is the basis of wealth. So white people are mass robbers. I'm talking about you ain't got a robber on the planet that is more uh, effective in robbing than white people. I mean, you steal whole land masses. You take whole masses of people and you shift them to do your bidding. So she's talking about how America began to develop itself off the raw materials that were here and the labor that they stole, and they began to economically develop itself into a world power. And so, what we're talking about is how we can begin to look to ourselves to start developing, and we don't have to look far here in
Right.
Mississippi. We don't have to look far. So,
It's
most
time for
definitely
us to
that.
come out of her, Brother Lumumba. It's time for us to stop trying to match and identify with the oppressor whose system is falling. And it's just like it's just like the Titanic. It's going down now. The 800-pound gorilla's in the room, but nobody wants to act like it's there. You know, the tech stocks are falling. The economy is terrible. The supply chains of getting goods and whatnot on the shelves are terrible. And so we are preaching Black power to our people so that we can feed ourselves. We can do something for ourselves. We can pull our resources together, and that this Black power would make us autonomous. And that's real key in Black power, because when you understand the concept and application of Black power, it makes us autonomous, where we don't really have to, we don't have to depend on no one else for ourselves, because we're producing and doing for ourselves. And that's very essential. And we haven't gotten to that point because we still have this mental side, white psychopathy mentality where we're wards of the state and we want somebody to give us something, and we want to receive checks and don't make no effort for what we do, and so we have become first, third, and 15th of the month people, and we have to come out of that mentality. It's very crucial and essential, especially in Mississippi, which is one of the poorest states in the nation.
Yeah, and most definitely. And see, these are the things, and while we're there, let's talk about Mississippi on the Move.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that we trying to craft out of Mississippi on the Move is some of the things that you're speaking to. You know, how do we become autonomous? Do we even want to become autonomous? You know, we got a large segment of our people, and I think Brother Mike, he made a comment just now, speaking to that, the brother down in Clarksdale. He said everything that's being said is so true, but our people are so stubborn and unconscious, even though we will continue to strive at times, and it at times is depressing. Ain't no doubt. You know, ain't no doubt. And you looking at one, Brother Mike, that been doing this right here for 25 years, growing up in the projects of Senatobia, speaking on the street corner at the community center till the lights went off and they said, Pat, you got to disperse the crowd. They got to go home. You know, doing it since then. I'm standing here now, 48 years old, still doing it. So I haven't given up on the great potential of our people. I can't give up on our children. You know, some of these adults, Baba, I really want to just take them and do like they used to do on the farm and just wring their neck. You
Mm.
know, I
But
watched the town talk. You know, I see you chomping at the bit. I'm gonna let you go too. But I saw the town talk. I didn't get a chance to go down the Clydesdale, but I see the stiffness of the neck of our people. We are stiff necked people, you know, and we speaking to stiff necked people. And when we talking about black power, like the elder, what Brother Jahi called her an older. He says a difference between elders and elders. Okay, that said, I'm not going into that event. They talking about black power. It's about God power. And Jahi said in his mind, he said, "What's the difference? what's the difference?" But see, when our people so indoctrinated that they think when black people talking about black power, the power to deliver ourselves from the grip of white supremacy, the detrimental grip of white supremacy, you know, uh, to them, that's evil. That's something. So I understand the stubborn and the stiff neckness of our people, but at the same time, it's a young crowd out there. We got to hash out, with Mississippi on the Move and with these efforts, with this platform, what we're doing right now. This is just our second broadcast back on the air in maybe 2 years, just really trying to be consistent with this, Bob. So we trying to go and use every medium that we can to be just as effective as possible to recraft the conversation about black power, because I don't hear nobody really talking about it. It's really using. We in this trending culture now with this social media thing. So what's trending, and we not determining these trends. So what's trending is where our people go. But at the same time, we leave the most relevant thing that we could possibly leave on the table, and that's how do we build black power. So, I hear Brother Mike that we stiff neck, but my brother, we can't give up and we got to continue the effort of what we're doing with Mississippi on the Move. So, Bob, could you just speak to that, Mississippi on the Move and our effort?
Yes, sir. One of the things that we're going to have to realize and come to grips with is that chemical warfare was waged on the African American community in total. When I say chemical warfare, I'm talking about drugs. Drugs were deliberately targeted in our community. We were deliberately made addicts, deliberately made to betray one another for the sake of capitalistic interests of the CIA to finance a war down in South America and the aftermath. And I say the aftermath of what went on with us in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 90s. It's 2022, and we're still feeling the repercussions of that aftermath. Some of our children that have been born into the world, they were born addicts. And then to add insult to injury in the educational system, uh, our children with these problems from this chemical warfare that's been waged on us, school districts are being paid money
No
to
doubt.
keep them on drugs, Ritalin, Depakote, and all these different sort of things. And so this is why we call for the action of Black Power. Yes, the journey is hard, it is tedious, but it is a fight that has to be waged because we have to understand what's happening around us, and things ain't going to get better until we make them better. And
Mm,
we have to understand that we have to have the gall, the gumption. You got to reach between your legs. Do
hmm,
you got a pair?
that's
And this
right.
is the time. This is the time. Uh, you know, it's time for instruction to do something. It's time to get
Mm-hmm,
up off our butts and do something. See, we've been
mm-hmm,
made to, like to call it the three monkey syndrome: hear no evil, see no evil, fear no evil. One that's been perpetrated by the liturgical teaching of the Bible Baptist belt. Okay.
mm-hmm.
And so we need to call it what it is, because we need to be up and running in our community. We need moral character. Our moral character is at an all-time low. And thank you, my brother, because you and I are on the same page. I want to say that's Jam Tha Akili.
That's Jahi.
Yes,
That's
sir. That's
Jahi.
that brother. That's that bad brother, Captain.
That's
And
right.
and and so to brother Mike and to all of our street organizations, to regardless to if you're in growth and development, you conservative, unknown, golden path, whatever you may be, we cannot continue to support our oppression by messing with these drugs. We
Mm,
cannot continue, or we will not be in power or be in peace by dillying and dallying in illicit activity. Our street organizations were originally designed to help and promote the collective of the community. They're offshoots of the Black Panther Party. They're offshoots of the Nation of Islam. Matter of fact, conservative vice lord, red and white, that's Nation of Islam's colors of the flag, the crescent, freedom,
Mm-hmm.
justice, and equality, and some of the principles. And oh,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, some of you brothers eating pork out there, y'all violating. See, we got to stand for something.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all know I'm right about it. You know, this is not a time to do what you want to do, because we all have to come together. One of the missions of the Black Liberation Movement is to bring the collective together in your respective leadership. Now, one of the things that we don't want to happen, and I'm pretty sure that Brother Lumumba will agree with me, we don't want to come together and compete of who's the smartest light bulb in the room. We want to come together on what we're going to do about education. We want to come together on what we're going to do about politics. We want to come together about what we're going to do about police brutality, how we're going to protect our community, how we're going to stop them from killing us, and how we're going to stop killing each other. And
Mm-hmm.
these should be the focal points. And I hope that, and matter of fact, I know in the days to come, wherever you see us show up, these will be the focal points. And Black Liberation Movement, we got some answers.
That's right. That's right. Appreciate that, Bob. And as you were talking, I was thinking about, the criticalness of what it is that you're saying, and it made me think about a book that I read a few years ago. It was called "Kill Them Before They Grow." Kill them before
Mm-hmm,
they grow. And it was a book wrote by Michael Porter
mm-hmm,
Jr. Michael Porter Jr. And he's a great teacher, and he has some very profound things to say. But one of the most profound things that he said in that whole book, he asked a question. And I want everybody that's listening and viewing this, think about this question. This is what he said. He said, "How do you act around white people?" He said, "How do you act around white people?" Now, think about that. Think about yourself. And not only think about yourself, think about your people. Okay? Because what I'm getting to, Baba, is um, the capitulated leadership, the capitulated leadership that we have in the black community. And I have come to a conclusion in myself. Uh, I'm not gonna hold my tongue anymore when I'm dealing with the leadership in the black community. I don't have no reason to hold my tongue. You know, I want to be plain, and I want to be like John. He just said, make it plain and make it clear. The capitulated leadership in the black community has sold the black community out. Just as you lot, you were on backstage. I saw you backstage. Stay backstage, brother. We're gonna bring you on in a second. We're gonna bring you on. Just stay right there backstage. We're gonna bring you on. Put your mic on. I can see you. Put your mic on and your video. Thank you, brother. We're gonna bring you on in a minute. But what I'm saying is that our leadership is cowardly. We got assimilated leadership that's selling the black community out. I don't care if this is your preacher. I don't care if this your cousin that's downtown at City Hall. This capitulated black leadership is selling the future of our children, the future of our people out, and it got to be called out. So Michael Porter asked a very important question. He said, "How do you act around white people?" Now, think about this. White people have such a profound presence in our psyche that when he asked that question, he's a psychologist as well. He's not just asking uh, when you're in the presence of white people. See, white people are remote controlling the black community. They don't have to be there. They don't have to be there. They can remote control the black community, just like they remote control our town talks. See,
mm-hmm,
see, when we get to the point where we asking a question, and I noticed this in the Clarksdale meeting, it was a very serious question that was asked about the Buffalo shooting. And I listened to every panelist, respond to that question. Now, I'm not calling that preacher out. I'm calling the leadership in the pulpit out because we give these deflective responses that our people are taking for a response, and we can't no longer do that. The response was, we got to stop killing each other. Now, what was the question?
It
The
was
question
deflate.
was, how do we stop white terrorism on the black community? What was your answer? We got to stop killing each other. I can't accept that no longer because I'm too understanding of the dynamic to accept that. But people who are less understanding may accept that for an answer, especially from black leadership. Okay. But if I was there and I did chime in on that, I would have asked him, well, did the people that built Black Wall Street, were they killing each other? Were the people that built Black Wall Street, do we have them on record for killing each other? No, that was about the business of building a black development. Did that stop white people and white terrorism from descending upon that black township? So what I'm saying is that the question was, how do we stop white terrorism on black people when we live in a society where the quality of black life is very low? We the lowest on the totem pole. So we get deflective answers from our leaders. I don't care if he's a preacher. That's a deflective answer. Now, if we had asked how do we stop black on black crime, your answer would have been relevant. I'm talking about from the outside, just to bring more credence to what I'm saying. Who's the number one killer of white people? Other white people. Other white people are the number one killers of white people. Now, black people probably kill white people less than anybody. Okay? But if black people killed white people, don't you think white people would have a serious problem with that? Of course we would, because they already showed you the social order. So what I'm saying is this, going all the way back, how do you act around white people? Not even that they have to be there. Our capitulated leadership acts as though they are always there. They come into our town talks. Well, we can't blame this on white people. What you mean? What you mean we can't blame it on white people? What I'm saying is that we got to have a correct historical evaluation. And when we do a historical evaluation, then we come to a factual conclusion that a lot of almost everything that the black community suffer from is a derivative of white supremacist domination. Now, if we don't start there, then we got an incorrect assessment of how we come to get to the position that we are. So that's what I was saying, Bob. How do we act around white people? You
Yeah.
know, how do we act around white people, and what is the derivative effects of white supremacist domination on our people?
But when we're talking about black power and we're talking about building power,
Right,
because we will never have peace unless we first build power.
no doubt.
And I agree with you. Power and peace. We say peace and power, but the proper perspective is power and peace. And I'm gonna tell you why. Now when we talk about capitulated leadership, that means leadership that has failed us. And first of all, you have to understand, in order for white supremacy to maintain its power, it has used coercive power, which is the ability to punish for non-compliance if you don't do what they say or if you
Mm,
don't accept what they give. And then for those that come from under that lash or that cracker whip is reward power. This is what makes leadership capitulate. The reward
mm-hmm,
power, or that ability to issue rewards, um, to be the straw boss,
mm-hmm,
to be the uh, 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 HNIC, the head
mm-hmm,
nigger in charge. Okay.
mm-hmm,
And so we
mm-hmm,
still have this syndrome in our ranks, in our communities with a black face on it. And it has turned into a gross negligence of benign neglect. And so we have this
Mm-hmm.
all through our communities, and we got a dissatisfaction in our communities, going from the lowest level all the way up to the top, even in Washington, D.C., from the pulpit all the way up through the halls of Congress, even up into the White House. And
Mm-hmm.
listen, it is what it is, because one of the things that we have to look at this here. President Obama, we was all so proud of him because we had a black face that was president. Oh, that's us president. But he was asked a serious question. What issues are you going to do to help African Americans? And his first response was, oh, I can't do that. I'm not the president of Africa and America. I'm the
Right.
president of all America. Once
Right.
again, benign neglect.
Now
Kamala
neglect.
Harris. And this is not an attack on these people, but we have to speak truth to power to understand the conditions that we're in. Kamala Harris was asked, what black issues are you going to take up during your administration? She says, oh, I can't do that. I'm the vice president of all the United States. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then we ask ourselves, uh, why not black power? Because we can't get a George Floyd bill passed. We can't get proper voter bills passed. We got to renew our voting rights every 25 years. We can't get a hate crime protection bill passed. The filibuster, Rule 22, won't go away. And we just got an anti lynching bill, which is 110 years old. The bill was first proposed in 1910, 1911. And after 200 filibusters, you finally got one passed. And so we have to come to the actualization that inclusion has not been working very well for us. So
Mm-hmm.
where does Black Power come in? Black Power is the grassroots, organizing at the grassroots, letting people know that power comes from the bottom up, not the top down. Well, how does it come? Well, first of all, through the legitimacy that we are unapologetically African, that we identify with our own history and our own heritage, and in the expert power of that, this comes from our experience and our knowledge of us being in America for 467 years. But not only that, but our expert in our knowledge and knowing that we are the originators of civilizations, three dynasties, even before the Iceman came down out the hills and caves of Europe. Okay. But not only that, but reverent power. And this is very, very important because we present this to our people, not any kind of way, not wanting to shake your booty or have a party, not waiting to have the great smoke out after we have left the message and our mission, but having that reverent power, which comes from being trusted and respected.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how are we going to be trusted and respected? By being men and women of character. How are we going to get that if we don't have that? We need to teach our people character quality.
Good deal. Good deal, Bob. Good deal. And that's great. And see, these are the lessons that we need to be learning on an institutionalized level. We want to bring Brother Justice Ula on because our hour is closing down fast, Bob. You
Okay.
know,
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Ula, come on the screen while I respond to something that Baba Kamal just said. You know, you know, it's almost like automatic that we give, respect. When you said, you did say, I don't want to attack these black leaders, but my question becomes, why not? Why not? Why isn't it a cry from black people out of the belly? And I'm not saying that you didn't really mean that we should not attack them. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that we should call that to accountability. When we sitting around here and I'm watching Kamala Harris, I'm watching all these black female mayors be weaponized by white supremacists. I'm watching Ketanji Brown Jackson or whatever her name is. I'm looking at these people capitulate right in front of us, disrespect black people right in our face. They don't have to answer to us. That's their demeanor. Their demeanor is that I don't have to answer to black people. They're not intelligent enough to decipher what I just said. I just said I'm the vice president of all the people, but you a black person. I watched Ketanji Brown take office, go before Congress or Senate or whatever, and I watched white people interrogate her. That was an interrogation. There was no just no question. Stop. Let's stop playing with it. They interrogated her to make sure that she was what they wanted. You know, I didn't see her go on the office one time and tell white people, you know what? I'm offended by that, and I'm gonna strike back. You know, she ain't. It ain't even in her no more to do that. I watched that whole thing, and she never went on office one time and spoke from a proud black woman position. But when we look at her political alignment, as we look at uh, 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 the vice president, I don't even be knowing these people's name. I don't care to know their name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. The vice president. You know, we look at their constitution, who they lay in the bed with, who they married to. Does that not tell you where your allegiance at? Does that not tell you where your allegiance at? So we celebrate these people on the mass level. We celebrate these people when Kamala Harris took office. It became an AKA thing. You know, chucks and pearls. Black folk, black professional black women, chucks and pearls. I just posted on social media. I said, is this a she war or is this a we war? Don't get lost in the shuffle, black woman. Stop letting white supremacy weaponize you against black people. Okay? They making sure that they sift you with a fine-tooth comb before they place you in these power positions. And you already announced to them where your allegiance lie when you married the sons of white supremacy. That's what Patrick Lumumba got to say about that. As the chief organizer facilitator of the Black Liberation Movement, we have to come to a point where we're gonna be proud of who we are, and we're gonna stop accepting black capitulated. Capitulated means surrender. Surrender leadership, token leadership. We got to stop accepting it in the black community. Appreciate that. Now we do have Brother Justice Ular on, and I'm glad Brother Futrail just came on as well, because Brother Futrail is a very adamant worker in the what we call the street gang in Memphis, Tennessee. You know, and this brother is a great friend of mine, Brother Futrail. But we have Brother Justice Ular on, who is also he's a Black Panther, he's a vice lord, and he's also the Field Marshal General of the Black Liberation Movement. So, Brother Justice Ular, we like for you to chime in for 1 second, and I want to get you to speak on this. I've been watching not Gangs in New York, but The Godfather of Harlem. And Bobby Johnson and Malcolm X were having a conversation. They were great friends, great friends. And Malcolm told Bumpy, he said, Bumpy, he said, the black gangster had to become political. So I'm gonna bring that to my brother. You know, I'm gonna bring it to you, Brother Justice. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Peace and power. Can y'all
Okay.
hear me?
All
Oh
right.
yes.
Yes, we can
Oh
hear
yeah.
you. Power and peace, comrade. What do you think about the politicizing of the Black Street Organization?
Okay. Well, I would like to say, that was a powerful piece that Malcolm X did drop on Bumpy Johnson, and that is true. You know, a gangster is nothing if he's not politicalized. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? So basically, today, that's why I'm into politics. You know what I'm saying? I'm an accurate conservative vice lord. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also into politics. So that is a proven fact. Point once people, I mean, brothers and sisters in my type of situation, dealing with street organization, yes, once you
mm,
get politicalized and start, keep being up to date with the politics that's going on, not only in your community but in the world, in the world itself, yes, you could do a lot of
no
things
doubt.
and you can change a lot of things in a lot of conditions other people
Mm,
once you become politicalized. You know what I'm saying? A
no
lot of
doubt.
stuff, especially white supremacists, you know what I'm saying? That's in every black community in the country. You know,
Mm-hmm.
no matter where you're from, you know what I'm saying? When you walk out around the corner, white supremacists, the police, the store, everything is them. They capitalize off our money, etc. They don't put that back in our community. They put that over there in their communities and have these houses, store more cars, more, etc. While a lot of our people in these communities living in poverty, low income
Mm-hmm.
housing, you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? With food stamps, WIC, etc.
Mm.
So
No doubt.
yes, that is a powerful piece, and that's what I push. You know, a lot of my brothers in the conservative vice, a lot of my brothers in different nations, period. That's what I try to push on them and show them what I'm on. They need to get on, and once they get on what I'm on, then we could do something. Then we could really start seeing a lot of conditions change for us people,
Mm.
for the people.
No doubt. Well, look, Baba, come on.
Yes, sir.
You heard Brother Justice. You know, you got three men right here that's standing strong, in Mississippi. Brother Justice, he's not in Mississippi yet. I think Brother Justice somewhere out there on the East Coast right now, probably in Washington, D.C., get some groundwork in. But Brother Justice Hart is in Mississippi. Okay?
Yes,
So
sir.
you got three powerful people. On three powerful black men right now in the causation of the resurrection of Mississippi right here right now, speaking to our people. And the people that are listening, I challenge you to share this and put this Black Power on your page. You ain't saying it, we saying it. Put it on your page, share it so other people can hear it. Put it on your page. But I want you to respond, Baba Kamal, to what Brother Jesse just said concerning him being 100% in agreement that the Black Street Organization need to become political.
Oh, yes. Now, just as we realize that and understand that, just as many of us have taken that concept and now are applying that application from the page of our brother Malcolm, understand that the U.S. government understands that too. And a lot of the chaos, a lot of the guns that are now coming into our community and even the drugs is trying to disrupt that by the government. And I want you all to hear me and understand me real good. See, the prison industrial complex makes money off of street organizations that could be fed into it. It makes money off of any black man or woman that could be fed into it at the tune of $42,000 per year going to some white person's household. And that these interests are promoted by a legislative organization called ALEC. And so we have to be aware of the tricks of the enemy. You know, they try to make it fashionable to be a big ball and a shot caller and try to depoliticalize you by wanting to make you a gangster only and not the gangster turning political. Because once
Mm-hmm.
the gangster turns political, as Malcolm says further, he becomes the most dangerous black man in America.
Mm-hmm.
And you all, we
Mm-hmm.
need to really understand that because we're at a apex, or I'm gonna use one of your words, Brother Lou member, a precipice
Mm-hmm.
of this now in all of our communities, with
Mm-hmm.
our street gangs, with this attack of the police, with these roundups, and with this large quantities of dope in the community, with America being divided, where half of America can smoke marijuana legally, the other half cannot. That's done purposely. They purposely let that federal law be violated,
Mm-hmm.
purposely.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's done to create chaos in our community to keep us feeding the prison industrial complex. We have to realize that. We have to become a soldier. You have to put the gangster down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, Brother Eula, that's why he's on the streets and he's working right now. Many other brothers and sisters are realizing and coming to that realization right now. But those entrapments of capitalism, uh, this fake music, hip hop was hijacked, and they hijacked hip hop and made it thug, uh, they call it. They made it they made it thug music and made it music that would encourage shooting and killing and committing criminal activity. And now they're taking some of the same ones that were the number one propagators of the music by the white record industry. Now they're trying to throw them under the penitentiary. One case
Mm,
in point, just like Young Thug, okay, and many, many others. So we
mm-hmm.
can't fall victim to this as we unify because we need the political in the street organizations, and I tell you why. Not that we're trying to buy into white America, but we're trying to be autonomous in our communities with our Black power. We're trying to recreate the Black township as it once was. We're trying to educate and acclimate the grassroots people so that we can have intelligent electorates and stop having unintelligent leaders and ignorant leaders.
No
And
doubt.
so, very crucial, very, very crucial.
No doubt. Thank
Yes.
you
Can
for
I respond to that real
finding
quick?
that. Yeah, I'm gonna let you respond, but I'm gonna say this to the viewing audience. I had wanted to be most definitely um I wanted to make sure that I stick to the hour that we said we were going to do because Baba Kamal said he may only have an hour. But with the people permission, because it seemed like we got people that wanted to chime in. We got Brother Mike that wanted to come in. I don't really know. I don't really navigate this technology too well, Brother Mike, but he wanted to come in on this conversation because this conversation is getting very meaty. There's a lot of meat on the bones of this conversation. So we'll try to figure out how to get Brother Mike into this conversation, and we'll go for another 30 minutes because I think we finna hit home on some real powerful things. Is that all right with the two guests?
I'll stay as long as I can.
Okay. Is that all right with you, Brother Justin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well go ahead on and expound on what it is that you're trying to tell us.
I mean, far as a lot of our leaders that's in those positions on Capitol Hill and DC, etc. They may have those positions, but they're not in power.
Right.
So it's up to us, the ones that not in the government, the ones that us that our minds is liberated, etc. It's time for us to push that black power and because we the people is the power. We are the power.
Right,
Ain't no
right,
power without the people. You know what I'm saying?
right, right.
So what we doing right here, politicking on different levels of how we can make a better solution for our people. I mean, this is great. So a lot of our leaders today is like still they're not helping us progress. They kind of like they stagnating us. The preachers,
Mm,
the imams, the ministers. You know what I'm saying? The state senate, the government, the mayors, etc. The chiefs, whatever. They stagnate us. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
When the brother said something about being in prison, they did that. They did that to me. I was in prison. All the street organizations in prison here in Virginia. That's all they got in the penitentiary in Virginia is us brothers because they try to put us away. They don't because
So
they know once we become political, we are a threat.
okay, so let's speak to that because Sister Crystal just posted something that's profound. And I think it can factor into what we're talking about and what you just said, brother Eula. She said it's essential that we understand racism, white supremacy. We must build our own institution to begin teaching proper political education. It is the foundation. Now, let me show you a phenomenon that take place not Mississippi. I'm so stuck on Mississippi. I'm serious about Mississippi. In America, you know what these brothers getting this political education at about? And you just said it. All of us, most of us have had an experience in prison. Ain't that what we getting this political education at?
Yes,
So
sir.
then, okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. I got 15 years of my life. I
Okay, now let
politicalized my own self by reading, like
yeah,
Malcolm X did.
yeah,
Reading.
but stop right there. See, that's why come people like Sister Crystal is very important because I've grown. I was out of high school when I went to prison. Okay, and I'm pretty sure you probably was too. And but what I'm saying is that the white man disrupt our lives, basically disrupt our lives, and then we go into we get taken away from our families, our communities, and the and we it destroy the infrastructure of the black nucleus when we in that system, and then that's where we get politically educated, and then we come back out. We got all these strikes against us, so that's the reason why the black street gang, the street organization, not gang, the street organizations have to become politically empowered and become that electorate, you know. And what Sister Crystal has got going on with the Ashe Academy and things like that, that same political power, because I was talking about, y'all got something that, in the conservative advice lord um, organization that y'all teach called Lordism. Okay, Lordism.
Yes, sir. And
How
we
can that not? What I'm saying, brother, is why is that not part of a curriculum that we teaching in our institution where our young black boys, you know, because Lordism got to be about order. Okay, first of all, it say Lordism. It got to be about order. So why do we not have that getting taught to young black boys who don't have to have the experience of prison, the white man prison? If I'm making any sense. We shouldn't have to go to prison to get politically educated. We need institutions like the Ashe Academy, okay? And we need to give our money while we giving our money to drugs and alcohol and all these different things. We need to give our money to that cash app that's running across your screen right now, because that's what we doing. We teaching our children. Brother Futrail, you teaching our young boys, but we choose to give our money to the liquor and the alcohol. And I heard my brother say, you can't defeat white supremacy drunk and high. Fuck that. You're not going to defeat white supremacy like that. Okay? So we have to become really political about what it is that we're doing. And we have to make sure that we take our resources, our dollars, and put them in the right place. You know, we got schools. Well, we got one in Mississippi called the Ashe Academy right here in Coldwater, Mississippi. How many of us have donated to that? You know, how many of us put out money behind that? So that's what we're talking about when we talking about really becoming political. We talking about brothers like Justice Ula, who is the Field Marshal General of the Black Liberation Movement, going into the streets and talking to our young brothers and sisters and making sure that we understand and we don't have to experience the the experience of the prison. And Mississippi got the worst ones in the United States of America. The worst ones in the United States of America. Just a fact. Is in Mississippi. So our brothers, our little brothers, and our sisters shouldn't have to experience that to get the political education that we're talking about on this live feed tonight.
And then one of the advantages of a black education or an African centered education, original man education, and I can attest to the fact that I went to black private school, graduated from black private school, Muhammad University of Islam, 1975. The difference is it's going to teach you to work for yourself and your people. It's not going to teach you to work for somebody else. It's going to teach you combined operation. Now, and it's going to teach you what we're dealing with in the form of white supremacy and how to fight against white supremacy and benefit the collective. That's the advantage. This is what our children need to learn at an early age. This is what our parents need to learn. Not only do we need a school for our children, we holler about our children, but our parents need to be acclimated into who they are. They need to be made ready, available for a test, a DNA testing, where they can learn exactly who their people are, whether they be Yoruba or Hausa or Fulani or Chambre, Fan, or whatever. But we need that direct connection to complete our roots so that we can establish reciprocity in ourselves. This is what we're missing from the community. And before I relinquish the floor, I concur with Brother Jeffrey Ryan that he made mention in one of his statements. He said that from all this stuff that and this indoctrination in terms of defining the black phenomenon in white terms. And I'm kind of paradigming what he says. Sometimes you just got to walk away. You have to walk away from it and start all over again. And then he probes a logical conclusion, a possible solution. Take what is ours. Oh, yes, here it is. Give back their religion, their education, their politics, monetary systems, then create our own. If God bless the children who have their own, then bless ourselves and create our own. Sometimes you just have to walk away. Exactly. Thank you, my brother. And that's exactly what we're taught. This is what black education teaches. This is what African education teaches. This is what Ashe Academy teaches. And because we don't have a self-worth, we have to build up our own self-worth where we be willing to invest in ourselves. Right now, we would rather waste our money. Uh, there was a stat that was given, says that when we get a dollar, our dollar doesn't stay in our community 20 minutes. It leaves our community. In 20 minutes, we get a dollar, it's gone. And I can see where it goes. It might probably Walmart and Walgreen and all the things that's outside our community, the pharmacy and everything that's outside of our community because we don't build up our communities. Okay. That and liquor, drugs, alcohol, and we still living in food deserts. So that's a whole genre that we have to be taught. And it's places like Ashe Academy. It's philosophies like Sankofa and us learning our roots, our heritage. It's listening to our elders, John Henry Clark, James Small, and others, Amos Wilson, others that will bring us to bear and give us the knowledge that we can move Black power forward in order to better our community.
No doubt. No doubt. Without a doubt. I think we lost Brother Justice, but we're gonna start to wind it up. And I thank Brother Jeffrey Ryan for chiming in and adding to the content of the conversation, the quality of the conversation. And I thank brothers like that and teachers like that who are very profound and adamant in their duty to our people. I appreciate you, Brother Jeffrey Ryan. But I want to share something that Baba Kamal said. I mean, not Baba Kamal. I got a lot of y'all Baba, but Baba Shabaka Afrika said, and I think it was very profound. Every now and then he'll text me in the middle of the night, something profound that I can sleep on, and then I can meditate on and wake up on. He said, religion, names, language, and concepts of beauty. To superimpose these dynamics on the collective psyche of a primitive and politically elementary people is a powerful strategy for domination. He says a powerful strategy for domination. To take people's name, to give them a religion, to give them a language, and to give them a concept of beauty that's not them. He said these are powerful tools in the dynamic of dominating a primitive and a politically elementary people. So we have become politically elementary. We very politically unastute, and we have to go back and gain the moral fortitude to begin to craft our constitution about how we're gonna push forward. And I say it a lot of times, and people may think it's wrong or whatever. I'm pretty sure I can find a more articulate way to say it, but hell, we just ain't got enough courage. I can't say that we ain't got enough knowledge and we ain't got enough information. We got that. But why we ain't forging out the reality? Why we not changing and shifting the paradigm? With all the money that black people have, with all the education, I think black women that took over the top, educated people in America, black women. Why we not forging out the reality? What is that, Bob?
Miseducation.
Yeah, miseducation. Yeah, that's right, miseducation. So, with all of these things, what is it that we're missing? And it was also Shabaka, and we also got to speak to this. That capitulated leadership, that coon. I love how he referred to him, that coon. He called him a coon. He said that we have to remove the space that the coon occupied in the black community. That's that capitulated leadership. That's that misguided misrepresentation of the black community. Not speaking profound to the historical content of where we at right now. Mississippi is a plantation economy system. We got to teach what that is. What is a plantation economy system? We need to be learning this at very early stages of our development. We need to learn this. We need to learn the psychological dynamics of what it means to be black in America as it had been imposed on us by white supremacy and what we going to be determined to do. We going to grow our own food. The Black Liberation Movement has shown you all consistently that we have done that for the last 6 years on the level that we able to do it with the resources that we have. I'm not going to go another place and be diffident in telling black people what we have done. The pragmatism. Baba Kamal Kareem wrote a whole book on pragmatic nationalism. That means doing it, not conceptualizing it, doing it, putting the nuts and the bolts together like Noah's Ark. Even if we just got planks and nails, let's put it together. So our Shea Academy is our economic expression of black power. Our educational expression of black power. And that's our agriculture expression of black power. We need a development of agriculture in every county in Mississippi. We need 10 acres of land that we farming in every county in Mississippi. There's 82 of them. We need representatives in these places. We asking you to also join the Black Liberation Movement. You can join the Black Liberation Movement tonight. And help us continue to grow what it is that we're growing and putting together what it is that we're putting together, because this is something that we have to do. We have to do this. We're not going to let black liberation and the causation of black people get put on the back burner because America decided that it's not trending. Okay? We're not going to let America determine what's trending with black people. We still need black power. And just because y'all ain't hashtagging black power no more, they ain't, well, yes, they did catastrophic. They killed some black people just the other day, But what I'm saying is that we have to put it on the front burner. You agreeing with that, Baba Kamal, as we begin to close this session out?
Yes, sir. Most definitely. And just to piggyback what you're saying, let us support each other. Let us invest in ourselves so that we can help one another. Build this nation building dynamic. Make Mississippi the Mecca that it is so prophetically has been prescribed to be. Mississippi is the new Mecca for our people, for African people, for black people. And then finally, this is an appeal to my brothers in the street organizations and in the life. Let's shut down these trap houses. Let's shut them down. Let's come out of these trap houses. Let's send these brothers home to their family. Let's send these sisters who are in these trap houses and conducting these orgies and whatnot. Let's be real. Let's build our moral character. Let's clean it up, and let's be about the liberation, the responsibility of protecting the sociological, biological interests of our community. Let's start doing something for ourselves, as we so well know to do through that 7% and that 5% knowledge that had been spit out even by Clarence 13X. Let's do that. And I'm speaking that from my heart as a freedom fighter, as a soldier, and as one that loves my people. Let's shut it down.
Thank you, Baba. Appreciate your participation tonight. I'm extremely honored to have you at the helm of this train, that we call the Mississippi Black Liberation Movement. We ain't changing that, Baba. We ain't changing that, Baba. Professor James Small came here in 2018. He said, Brother Patrick, he said, If you plan on having 1 million black people join the ranks of the Black Liberation Movement, you may have to change the name. That hurt my heart. And I dropped Baba Smalls off at his resting place for that night. And before he could leave the car, I said, Baba Smalls, let me say something to you. He said, well, I said, with all due respect, and I know you're a great spiritual man and you're a griot, would you go back and consult the ancestors on that? Because it ain't in my spirit to change the name of the Black Liberation Movement. What he was telling me, he said, Brother Patrick, black people ain't ready to be black people. That hurt my heart. That hurt my heart. And I told him, I said, you go back, Baba Smalls, and you consult whoever it is that you got to consult on that. But I think you're wrong, Bob. I can't change the name. And he come back the next day, and I'll never forget it. Before he made his keynote address, and there's people on this live that can attest to this. Carl Tone Jones is on here. He can attest to it. Crystal can attest to it. He stood up before he delivered his keynote speech. He said, let me say this. He said, we are all gods having a human experience. And he turned and he pointed at me. He said, that brother over there, he didn't recognize that he God. He said, we just got to catch up. I ain't say that for no accolades of myself, but I'm confident, Bob, that we doing the right thing. I'm confident that the Black Liberation Movement is what it is. And it ain't going nowhere. Even if we go, the spirit got to stay with our people. It got to stay with Jahi. It got to stay with Jamir and Yusuf. It got to stay. And I leave you all with this. In the words of Shabaka Afrika, he said that the people would be destroyed, denigrated, marginalized, discriminated against, and even killed until they develop the moral character to stand up for their own humanity. Stand up for your own humanity, black people. From Patrick Lumumba, Baba Kamal Kareem, signing off, power and peace to all of you all. Thank you for chiming in. Ashe.
Ashe.